Okay, so the next project was brought to you by the number 8 connecting rod on a small block Chevy. What we got here is the motor this oil pan came off of through a rod, and added a nice little ventilation point. I'd like to use the oil pan again, so what we're going to do is we're going to see what we can do about straightening this thing out. So I'm going to get a hammer and a dolly and see what we can do to get it back to straight as possible. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove part of that. Because the metal's stretched. So I'm never going to get this thing shrunk back up. So I'm going to remove that section there. And we'll see if we can't get that thing straightened back up, and then we'll put a patch on top. Okay, now what I'd like to do is just go ahead and clean that hole up. Maybe do something like this, clean those edges up, round that off, just so that there's a nice clean edge on the inside. Then we'll just make a patch to go around it welder from the outside. Little trick when you're using a carbide die like this is to keep it wet with WD-40. Keeps the aluminum, if you're cutting aluminum, from sticking to it. gonna go 090. Let's see if I can find a piece. Alright. Doesn't look like I've got a piece of 090, but got a piece of, looks like it's gonna be 080. Gonna go a little less than 080, but I think for that patch it'll be alright. So let's go ahead and measure a piece out. Probably go something like that right there. Go to the belt sander, see if I can't make those curves a little smoother. Be right back. What do you think? Does it look a little smoother? Now we got to put a little bit of a curve in it. That look like about the same radius. I think it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and tack that thing on there. Okay, here we are back. I apologize, I lost a little bit of footage where I was welding this patch on, but you can see, give you a little closer shot, what it looks like. The inside, I haven't welded. I'm not sure yet whether or not I'm going to go ahead and weld that up or not, but the owner of this oil pan stopped by and we were looking at it. Found a couple other little things that we're going to need to take care of before he tries to put this thing back in service. This thing threw a rod and damaged quite a bit. This oil pan rail right here actually got a little bit of a beating. You can see here you can see if I rock this back and forth that that rod or a piece of something came up underneath here and struck this here. So we're gonna have to try and straighten that out a little bit. It's not a real big deal, but need a little straighter than that. And in addition, another little sliver, took a little chunk out right here. Didn't cut all the way through, but did leave a little scar on the outside. So I think what we'll do on that is just come back and run a little weld bead in there. All the material's still there, so shouldn't take much to go ahead and tidy that up. I don't think that's a leak. I think it's just a little crease in there. But the worst thing that we found is a crack right through here. And I think that's from the rod hitting here and shoving this pan down. You can see this is bent down a little bit. It'll have to be straightened up a little bit. But what I'm going to do, looks like maybe this was either broke before or was part of the fabrication. See, it's been welded before. This isn't a place where we need a lot of high strength. I mean, this being an oil pan is not a structural part of the engine. I'm just going to try to grind that out a little bit and make sure I don't have any oil and stuff inside of there. Do the same thing on the outside. Just come back and weld that back up. Put a little filler metal in there, and we'll probably go ahead and get this welded up here on the inside as well, just so we don't have any place for contaminants or oil or anything to get trapped. So let me get set up to try to get this thing finished up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I got a little bit of a bridge, so I can put pressure down in this direction. We're just going to try to squeeze it with this C-clamp, see if we can't get it to straighten back out. Obviously, this tab for the windage tray is going to have to be repaired. There's a little crack here, so anything I press on here is probably going to make it better. But let's just see if we can't get this thing to straighten out. Okay, looks like I went past straight, so let's see where it comes back to. Okay, looks like I may have done it in the first shot here. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was, and this just gets sealed off with a lot of silicone. You see, it doesn't have a full set of oil pan bolts. It's just got the two in each end and then one in the center. So you rely upon the silicone in a lot of ways to keep this sealed off. So let's go ahead and go to the next piece. Get set up here and go ahead and get that grinded out so we can weld that. Okay. I went ahead and took some time, got these two tabs straightened out. It's not going to be the greatest, but we're not making a new oil pan here. But a little more damage. Looks like we've got a pretty good lump right there, and there's a little seam right there. So I'm going to try to get that flattened back out, and we'll grind that little crease out, weld it up as well. Make sure you can see that. See that lump right there? You can see how that's raised up. Okay, what we're going to do first, now that we've got this ground out, I'm actually going to tack this side right here so that this doesn't spread. If I were to weld from here out, it's possible that crack would spread as I went out. So I'm going to tack it here, let it cool, draw that back together, and then come back. I've got my doubts on how well this is going to work. Probably a lot of oil in there. As you see, I tried to clean it out as good as I could, but it didn't always work. So let's get the welder set up and see what we can do. Alright, that tacked up alright, but there's still a lot of black soot, so whatever's in that crack doesn't look like it's going to give me a whole lot of trouble. Okay. And then that crack right there, and then all the way out to the outside. Okay, So I'm gonna fix that right there. And I just noticed we've got a crack right here. I wonder whether or not this thing should have just been thrown away. Looks like this has been welded just from the outside. The crack still shows on the inside, but the weld metal's just starting to crack. So at this stage of the game, I think I'm going to do what they did. I'm going to grind that out a little bit, come back, fuse it all back together. I don't know how much more use they'll get out of this doggone thing. If I find any more, I don't know whether or not it's, I guess you're in for a penny, in for a pound, right? All right. And then I don't know if I showed you that before, but there was just a crack through the surface of that weld right there. So I just ground that out and then came back and put a bead over top of it. Looks like that's been done several times before in that same location. So maybe we'll get a couple more races out of this thing for this guy. So as brought to you by, what would it be, number 8 connecting rod on a small block Chevy. Be back soon on another interesting project. Or not interesting. I don't know, one way or the other. It'll be something, some kind of project.